forgot to send the link. I don't know why anybody needs that anymore, but okay. I need to change the name. Okay. See. Alright. Check the mic. Okay. Close out everything so that we have the best connection we can get. Okay. Well, still terrible. But it'll have to do. Alright. Hello, assholes and muckers and people of all ages. Today we're going to be going over a time period of everything of basically the British Empire, all the empires starting up all the way up to World War One. We're not going to touch on World War One. We're going to touch on World War One tomorrow in the final video where we cover all of recent modern history. But for now, going off of this review that I'm just really going off of, we're going to go over 1750 to 1914. So all we're really going to do is go over a couple of key things that happened here. One, we're going to go over imperialism and all the empires that have popped up. Two, we're going to go over industrialization and how that affects the entire world. Yeah, we're following a schedule today. Whoa. Three, we're going to cover America. Because, yeah, America. America! Fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. And finally, we're going to be covering, I just made this plan. It'll come to me. You know what? It'll come to me. So first, we're going to go over that good old-fashioned imperialism. Oh, we also need to cover all the monarchs doing their thing. So a lot of stuff that happens in this time, but we're not gonna go over too much of it. So, oh yeah, and we're gonna mention other things. So imperialism, this is happening all over the world. Everybody is getting their ass conquered by the Europeans. From what? That's what I thought. Okay. So everywhere is being conquered, from obviously the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Everybody is getting their ass wrecked. So in the Americas, you have the 13 colonies started up, and we're going to go over how that really affects the world later. And we have the 13 colonies. We also have South America, which is which provided silver to Spain until until silver inflated to non-valueness. Non-valueness? The value of silver was devalued to just like worthlessness. And I guess and also Canada. That's a thing. And then in Africa, you've got places like South Africa, and really just the rest of Africa, which was split up in the Berlin Conference. of 18 something, started up by Bismarck, who united Germany. That's right, Germany is now a thing, united by a Prussian guy named Bismarck. Just gonna Bismarck united Germany, and they were becoming a pretty huge colonial power as well. Nothing, however, to rival, Britain and France. In Asia, the important thing of note is basically the Opium Wars, where Britain sells opium to China, and basically just kind of forces them to create special economic zones for them so that they could get shit ton more money. Right? And and this imperialism was also backed up, apparently, by science. Because, see, with the introduction of the evolution theory, there came about this thing called social Darwinism. Social Darwinism. And this was basically just saying white people are the best, everybody else is the worst because we're white. Old European white logic, clearly. And so then basically you've got Britain, France, and Spain just have huge empires all over the world, right? And Spain kind of eventually falls out of it, but that was the thing. And even after America pieces the fuck out of Britain's empire, they still have the largest empire. They're controlling basically the fucking world. So let's move on to industrialization. So during this time period, we're really starting to finally get into the modern age. And after America becomes a thing, they even overtake Britain in their production. So we have two industrialization ages. The first one's in the late 1700s, while the second one is in the late 1800s. So the first one, and you have to remember this for them long essays and shit, because you can't be using the wrong time period industrial revolution where it doesn't exist. So the first one, you basically have the steam engine, and that's the main important one from there, right? Steam engine, coal being used, all that fancy smancy shit. Well, in the second one, you have shit like electricity and lights, which brings about lights and the combustible engine. And both of these bring about mass production and mass urbanization, with lots of inventions and things popping up to try to account for the growing size of urban populations, because now more and more people are coming from farms into industry. Okay? Cool. Alright. That's pretty fast. Neat. Okay. We're gonna kind of jump all over the place here. But yeah. And also, alright, so, next up, we'll cover America. Fuck yeah. Okay? America. You know how the story goes. We got pissed off about taxes, and also a bunch of other shit, and so we rebelled, and then the French helped us, and they went broke, and so that basically spread democracy throughout the world, right? So America really introduced democracy. Or rather, yeah, they really introduced democracy to the world as a whole. leading up to the French Revolution, which led to Napoleon, who conquered most of Europe, right? Until the Battle of Waterloo and all that shit. But when Napoleon conquered most of Europe, he also introduced all those forms of government, the democratic form of government. Apologies. And this motherfucker also introduced and also caused for a lot of cultural diffusion to occur. But then, also, slavery is abolished during this time period, by the way, because the British abolished it and then they kind of forced everybody else to do so. But now democracy and the ideas of enlightenment are being used to free colonies, leading up to, after the ends of World War I and II, later on in the next century, to basically the ending of all empires. But that's very clearly far away from here. Anything else to cover? America, it was made, fucking cool, introduced democracy, it becomes a pretty huge power. You know, we're adopting the Industrial Revolution from England, and eventually producing even more than England. Britain fucked over China in the Opium Wars. The Ottomans still exist, by the way. And they don't deserve their own drawing tonight. They basically tried to westernize towards this is nearing the end of their time. And by the end of World War I, they're no more. But in the meantime, they're trying to do Tanzimat reforms to try to become more European and less strictly Islamic, which is really part of why they fell apart. Right. Okay. And you've got to remember as well, by the end of this period, we've introduced so many things that seem so commonplace now. Okay, by the end of this period, we've introduced liberalism, socialism, communism, and a bunch of just urban things and urban developments in general. Right? So much shit is introduced. Electricity, plumbing, better guns, let's be honest, and also there's all these new more free ideologies and technology and technological improvements, and this shit is just fucking amazing. Let's see. I don't think there's too much more here, actually, surprisingly enough. Really, all these notes are just about how the real specifics of what's going on, and that's not too damn important. Right. Like at the beginning, they did all the European countries, specifically a group called RAPE, as in Russia, Austria, Prussia, and England, after the Congress of Vienna tried to preserve monarchy, and they did succeed in crushing down socialist revolts, but eventually they got pretty overwhelmed. But eventually they just disbanded. Yeah. That's pretty much it. The Qing dynasty had a run. They did pretty cool. And then they got fucked over by the British. Japan had the Tokugawa shogunate starting in the last time period we talked about, but eventually were opened up by the Americans. Egypt is trying to reform itself to become more European, and just kind of fails a little bit. touching on everybody else. And the world is trying to figure out how it as well, or the Western world at least, is trying to figure out how to modify itself. Right? They're trying to figure out how sorry, not modify, how to modernize itself. Right? Because, nobody knew how these things work. So they're dealing with child labor, they're dealing with how to deal with sanitation, and while the rest of the world is dealing with how to get their independence from these assholes. Right? And so leading up to World War One, we have the situation where all over the world we've got massive empires, as in British, kind of French, and then we just have the West, as in America, and others, and everybody is trying to ally themselves with each other, because after Napoleon there isn't really any major wars, but everybody is still making lots of military technology, and so leading up to World War One, everybody's just like, let's have a good, fun little war. It's gonna be fun. Somebody's gonna win. We all have these terrible military technology, and that's gonna turn out well. But yeah, by the end of this time period, we have all these new things introduced. All these new things introduced, along with a lot of technology. And the worker really becomes a class now, and America is a country now. Oh boy, it feels like I'm missing something. But at the end of the day, this is really just all the major things that happened, right? Just all sorts of new radical ideologies are introduced. The rest of the world that isn't Asia is fucked over and turned into the European. The rest of the world that isn't Europe is fucked over and turned into a European empire, and technology, and America. So thank you for listening, and or watching. I'll see you tomorrow, where we'll cover everything after World War One until today, I guess. Bye bye.